We have seen a number of them being pepper sprayed, others being harassed, assaulted by security officers. So we are saying it's high time for security officers to stop harassing and assaulting journalists whenever they have been deployed to cover a peaceful or violent protests or demonstrations, especially in Kampala city here. We have also seen a number of Ugandans not understanding the role of media in this country. That's why it's not only the security officers who are attacking journalists, but also seeing that even Ugandans who do not understand the role of media often attack journalists and then also destroy their equipment. So we are saying, as we celebrate this day, Ugandans also need to understand that media plays a very vital role, and attacking a journalist, you will be prohibiting the dissemination of the rightful information to be taken or to be disseminated to the people. So some of the prayers we have for today as the members of the Uganda Parliamentary Press Association, as USPA, and even those who agitate for the better welfare of journalists in this country, we are saying security agencies should always punish errant officers who violate journalists' rights and must do it in an open and transparent manner. Because I've already seen, usually whenever journalists are assaulted, police usually comes out and say they are punishing or they have suspended. But we are saying it's high time for security organs to start punishing these errant officers in an open and transparent manner. We're also saying government should encourage media owners to implement continuous career development trainings and refresher courses for media practitioners in order to professionalize the media industry. Whenever there's an opportunity, we are saying media owners should give an opportunity to the journalists such that they can have their career developed, because any journalist that has gone for a refresher training or has gone for upgrading in his education, of course, will be able to also give you a good and quality reporting or stories. And the other prayer, we're also saying journalists trade union, should be given relevant support to rally journalists to negotiate and bargain for better welfare. Of course, you are aware that the journalists trade union play a very vital role in ensuring that it agitates better welfare for the journalists. So we are saying it's high time a government to give relevant support to the journalists trade union to agitate for the welfare of the journalists in this country. I know we have a number of prayers, but because we are very many, I will first give an opportunity to the Vice Chairperson of the Uganda Parliamentary Forum on Media, Honorable Martin Muzale, who is also the Member of Parliament for Buzaya County, to give us his remarks. And thereafter, we shall have Honorable Joyce Bagala and Tuatwa, and then she will guide us on the other members of Parliament, and then my brother, Moses Al-Said Rubega, the president of the Uganda Sports Press Association, will also have some.
Ladies and gentlemen, and on this International World Press Freedom Day, I would like to tell you that we honor the services and the courage of journalists in Uganda. We respect and appreciate the exchange of information, and the leader of the opposition wishes every one of you to continue the relationship between the media fraternity and the leader of the opposition. The alternative government values the partnership between us and the media. But on this day, we would like to say that it comes at a time where the journalism fraternity is facing a lot of challenges. So it's not much to say we are happy today, because as part of the media, I know very well what we are going through as the media. Apart from just the rights that everyone is talking about, I know that the welfare of journalists is very much compromised. And I can tell the country right now that I've gotten very many petitions. One of them is from journalists who have been working for CTV. And I am told that CTV journalists have spent more than a year without being paid. They were last paid in February of last year. And this petition is going to be taken to the Committee of ICT. It will also be taken to the floor of Parliament, because any media employer is obligated to pay the journalists just like other employees. And if there is any problem that anyone is encountering, it is very, very much important for any employer to explain to the employees. So I'd like to tell the journalists who work for CTV or who used to work for CTV, because I'm told the station has now been sold without the knowledge of the people who have been working there, and sold without paying the journalists who have been working there. It's very unfortunate, very, very unfortunate, and I hope that our efforts will yield and will compel the owner of CTV or the person who has sold it to pay the people who have been working there. But also, I would like to say, there are a number of other incidents, apart from welfare, where journalists are being mistreated, being sent away from work abruptly, without payment, without compensation, and would like for this to change. Journalists are needed just like other workers are needed in this country. What, however, I observe is that many people, politicians and other people and other stakeholders, value journalists when they need their services. Once they don't need the services of journalists, that's when journalists will now be bad, or they are greedy, or they are corrupt. You don't expect someone's integrity when you haven't paid them for more than a year. It is simply unacceptable. Ladies and gentlemen, when we go to the issues of rights, you know that many of the journalists have been battered especially by security agencies. Many of them have gone to hospitals, many of them have tried to go to court, and they've been intimidated into withdrawing those cases, which I think is also unacceptable. You know, just very recently, the journalists have got to pay for the sins in quotes, of politicians. When they're attacking politicians, the journalists are also attacked. I recently watched journalists from NBS Television, Chitimbo Thomas, who is a camera person, and I think Isano, who were pepper sprayed by a police officer. We would like to see these police officers and other officers taken to court and tried, and would like to see them punished and not merely being transferred from one station to another. So we are going to work with all of you, and I've also received another petition, and I'm going to ask for space on the floor of Parliament for that petition from the Uganda Parliamentary Press Association, and all your prayers, as said by the President of the Uganda Parliamentary Press Association, are going to be taken to the floor of Parliament, and I promise that we'll be together with you. Once again, happy International World Press Freedom Day.
I'm here in two capacities. Notwithstanding that I'm also a member of Parliament, but I'm a lawyer in the Republic of Uganda and the Shadow Minister for Foreign Affairs. I want to first put on record, it has been over-echoed by the public, by the media, and my colleagues here. There's so many ongoing endless attacks on journalists. Reading the Geneva Convention, right together with other enabling laws, including the Rome Statute, an attack on civilians, including an attack on journalists, is interpreted and treated as a war crime. I want to repeat and put it on record. Under the Geneva Convention, an attack on civilians, including an attack on journalists, is interpreted as a war crime, triable not only by our local jurisdiction, but also by international tribunals and courts. To mention the list, the International Criminal Court. Want to put all those attacking journalists intentionally that they risk being tried and prosecuted for war crimes. We are documenting, and good enough, most of these scenes are on camera. There is enough evidence on record. I want to refer them to the Geneva Convention, the Rome Statute, and all other international laws and regulations to understand what it means to attack civilians, including journalists at work. That's number one. Number two, meaning that one of our course of action is to prosecute those responsible locally and internationally. Two, when you look at all laws relating to the press and media, from 1995, where the basic law was enacted, right together with all the enactments and amendments, Ladies and gentlemen, the law is very clear that one, a journalist, a media practitioner is protected by law. Two, protected as a person, the source of information, because we have seen in this country journalists being arrested and detained, cameras confiscated, and I have not read any single piece of legislation in this country that warrants a police officer or any security agency to confiscate a whole studio. Gadgets, press gadgets. It is not provided for by any piece of legislation in this country. It is illegal, and I want to call upon journalists to prosecute all those who confiscate illegally. Because even when you read the law, if court passes an order to confiscate a particular item, the law is specific that you only look for that piece of item that has been attributed to any irregularity whatsoever. Oh, so there is no law that warrants any security agency to confiscate gadgets of press and journalists. There is no law that warrants the security agencies to confiscate and take over a whole studio, as we have seen in this country. We condemn such practice. It is geared towards intimidating journalists, geared towards intimidating them, and eroding the independence of the whole institution of journalism in this country. Ladies and gentlemen, when it comes to payment of journalists, the Employment Act is very clear. Whether it is a media institution or any other institution, including Parliament, or including any other agency, including government, because the Employment Act applies even to government, embassies, missions, including media houses. When it comes to termination, the law is very elaborate. When it comes to corrective termination, you cannot just just wake up one day and terminate all the staff. I've had it here. It is contrary to the Employment Act and laws of this country. And I want to invite whoever is concerned, including ourselves, to take up this matter. It is breach of law and in contravention of the law. And whereas even the law provides that whenever there is a change, an exchange of an institution from one hand or one controlling owner to another, the workers follow suit. Any agreement that leaves out the workers is illegal in this country. When you are negotiating to sell a media institution, you transfer even the worker force. You don't just transfer the instruments and machines, because the Employment Act is very clear in terms of employment. What I've had here is so strange, illegal. We condemn it in the strongest terms possible.
I also join the rest of my colleagues to commemorate this very day. And as you are aware, Article 40 of our Constitution of Uganda provides for economic rights. And here we are having the provision of the right of persons to work under satisfactory, safe, and health conditions. You, the journalists, the press, you chose that very profession, and many others choose something else. It's at this time we are condemning each and every form of torture, each and every form of cruelty, every form that is failing you to perform your work in this country. And we join the rest of you to demand for an apology from all those institutions that have been inflicting that pain on you as you perform your economic right, as you perform your duty in this country and worldwide. Secondly, I wish only to point more upon the issues concerning the female journalists. According to the information given to us, the female journalists, again, are facing very harder conditions. We condemn such acts at the workplaces, whereby the female journalists, again, are being, call it being used, call it being put into different acts that are not of their making. Name it, because we have got this information. So on such a day, we call on each and every one who is in charge of the female journalists to stand once again. You bosses who are out there, and you know that you have the female also press ladies who are working for you, it's high time you stopped, because this very form of violence is upon these ladies, and sometimes they even fear to perform family work, to perform family duties, because at times they know even when, as soon as they get pregnant, they're going to be chased away from their employment. So we call upon you, wherever you are, to please also manage and mind the nature of the women you are using. As I finish, Much as you've heard about the issues of Buvuma, but we have pictures where the press were with the woman MP of Buvuma, the pressmen, they were also handcuffed. They had to undergo torture. Their cameras, they were forced to delete all the different data they had collected. So we also call upon the police, we call upon UPDF to give an apology and a write-up of what happened as far as the press is concerned. We've seen a lot on the side of the politicians who are involved, but we want also to bring up a statement apologizing to the press and also to give to commit yourselves never at any one time to interfere when the journalists are doing their due work.
As we evaluate the press freedom, we want to reiterate our resolve to defend the media from all attacks, but also as we pay tribute to those who have fallen on lines of duty, I want to request you, as the media, to act in solidarity. Act in solidarity when your rights are abused. We don't want to see just one media institution, one media company coming up in arms because their own has been abused, and then the others are working as if everything is normal. For you to achieve this, you must act in solidarity. If an institution has abused your rights, say we are banning its coverage. When it is all of you working together, you'll achieve it. But if you act in isolation, it is just one media, it is just one person, after all it is so and so was beaten, then you will not achieve what you want. You only achieve if you act in solidarity. The other point I wanted to talk about is that on this day, the government can only give us a gift of the tribunal we have always asked for. So this tribunal to help us to deal with the conflicts between the media and the media houses is set up in this country. Because without it, what we are talking about of some media being abused, some people being abused, some media being shut illegally, would have nowhere to run to. Finally, I need you to know that in times of oppression in societies, if there is no fairness and justice in societies, the media is regarded as opposition. Because the media is carrying the truth. And where there is oppression, the truth is a victim. And so as you fight for your rights, you know that you're fighting for justice. You're fighting for fairness. So as a human rights activist, I find myself working with you because we are all categorized together. And my being here is to continue to reiterate my pledge to support the media, to work with you in terms of oppression, in terms of abuse, in terms of unfairness.
As we assemble here, we thank you, honorable members of parliament, for honorably articulating the current image of the pressman or the presswoman at the moment. Also equally, by extension, my colleague Sam Ibanda Mugabe, for also articulating the resolves that we are taking for us to confirm our resolve to our colleagues. But as we collegiate today, we also remind ourselves, we also pronounce ourselves that what we give to the public is a social contract, the public good. The denial of the public good is a failure on all of us, including those that have the mandate of power. It is through our social contract, the public good, that the world and society is able to make a distinction on what the world is. It is through the dissemination of our public good in the context of the press freedoms that we are able to make informed decisions, including the arms of government and the public. So in entirety, the denial of the public good is a denial of the core principle of the world, is a denial of the core principle of democracy. And as we gather today, we revisit the core value of what a journalist stands for, is that for us, a social contract, and whoever stands in the way of that social contract is an enemy of journalism, an enemy of society. And as I conclude, I confirm and commit to the same principles by saying that whoever resists and stands within those rights that are permitted by all the world statutes, is an enemy of a progressive society. Unlike the legendary writer informed us that no prison is big enough to contain free speech. I yield back. I thank you, and thanks for gathering for such a momentous day.